Hi, my name is Erica Jones, and you are watching the Archetypal News Network. I am a counseling astrologer and a practitioner of the mystical arts and metaphysical healing. You'll find my work at my website, realimaginal.com. And I'm excited to announce a live presentation on Pluto's upcoming entry into Aquarius. And I'll be speaking from the perspective of world events as well as on a more personal level on February 12th. See my classes and events page on my website, realimaginal.com, for more details and registration. And today, I'm your host for a discussion of the upcoming full moon in Cancer on January 6, 2023. So the very first full moon of 2023 crests over eastern horizons in the watery sign of Cancer on January 6th, making an exact opposition to the Capricorn sun at 3:07 p.m. U.S. Pacific time. So the moon is said to govern the sign of Cancer, which is a deeply emotional sign, and that signifies that our instincts to nurture, to attend to hearth and home, to ruminate about the past, and to notice others' emotional states will be especially pronounced. For many of us, the high energy of the full moon could switch our intuition into overdrive, overwhelming those whose intuitive capacities are somehow out of balance, whether they are over-energized, overused, or underutilized. There just could be this kind of an overwhelm of intuition flowing in. Now, notably, the Cancer full moon happens to occur at the midpoint of Mercury's retrograde cycle, with the messenger planet Mercury entering the heart of the sun on January 7th. And if we do take time to slow down and tune in to what our intuition is telling us, we can expect quite a few new perspectives on our emotions, our plans, or on ideas that we have. And we may have to comb out some emotional tangles in order to differentiate between what feels good and familiar and what will actually serve the good in our lives. So the forward trajectory, symbolized by the sun, is climbing through the mountains of ambitious Capricorn, who never misses the chance to remind us that hard work may not always feel good, but it pays off in the long run. Maybe the familiar and the comfortable isn't what will assure our success. Maybe a little discomfort in breaking into scary new territory can move us in an optimal direction. The bringer of the new and exciting, the planet Uranus, is making a harmonious sextile with the full moon and a supportive trine aspect to the sun. And Uranus's powers are slowly getting free of Saturn's problematic grip. And those two have been at odds since December 2019. And while the exact square aspects are between the two planets, Saturn and Uranus, are finished now, Uranus is still grappling with the past. And that's quite in accord with the full moon and nostalgic Cancer. So the wrap up on what the Saturn-Uranus square has brought forth in our lives and in the world will continue to shape up in 2023. But, we really can move ahead. This full moon talks about allowing ourselves to imagine the fact that we can move ahead now. We can trust our creative flow. If only we could place our history and what has been in its rightful position in our present lives. But, how naked and exposed we might be feeling. For in fact, Chiron, the symbol of vulnerability, is making a stressful T-square aspect to this full moon, suggesting we're going to have to sort through old ill-fitting ideas of what will bring us success, how to achieve our goals. Our ideas might be tied to emotional states that make it difficult to see our options clearly. It could be that we do have more freedom now to exert our free will, but have we caught up to that fact? Are we still trying to get free of constraints that were true in the past, constraints that are now more lodged in our own minds and our own habits than actually out there in the external world? Now, of course, the planet that represents our personal will and the energy to achieve it, Mars, is currently slowed to a standstill at 8 degrees of Gemini, where he will eventually return to direct motion on January 12th. Now, Mars will spend an incredible 23 days at Gemini's 8th degree, when he normally travels between like a half to a degree per day. Variable speed, but definitely not sitting at 1 degree for 23 days. This is unusual. And when Mars slows down like that, his effects more resemble that of the almighty Pluto. And to draw a comparison, Mars would be like a very strong windstorm, and Pluto would be a hurricane. So wherever Mars is in our chart, whatever other planets it's aspecting, or angles, or the house that it's in, is really going to get quite a jolt this month. And now the high energy of the full moon is here to help illuminate emotional and mental obstacles to our own forward movement, to help us shake those things out of our psyche. Mars at a standstill, sort of like an image of an arrow that's pulled back to its maximum tension in a bow, and it's poised for release. But which way is it pointed? Right? What needs to be knocked down or burned away or tossed on the compost heap to generate new life? So the nature of the Sun-Mercury conjunction I mentioned, which is exact on January 7th, emphasizes introspection, soul-searching, looking within as the best means of picking our way through options, choices, dilemmas, or confusions. But it's okay to be confused for a while. And to really take time to sort through conflicting feelings or ideas, thoughts. The mind of Mercury will be in much better shape later in January, and it's good use of this time to just sort of dig through, excavate, look within. But if you're under pressure to act now, if you need to make a move or decision, just try to avoid unnecessarily burning bridges so that you can backtrack or have some latitude to move in a different direction later. And for everybody with important mutable planet or angle placements in the chart, the signs of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, honesty is the best policy. So being honest with ourselves about how our life energy is sapped by others or by activities, and how we have to manage that. Being honest with others about our true needs and desires and advocating for those. Being honest about the amount of time it's going to take to achieve our goals, to realize our ambitions, and all the obligations we have to fulfill along the way. Many of us are just going to be launched forward as the arrow of Mars starts its forward movement in earnest in late January. So it's a good time to gather ourselves, to be prepared. Now, one reason Mars's forward momentum is so important to us all is that the expansive power of Jupiter has entered the sign of Aries on December 20th, and Jupiter's hanging out there until May 16th. And the sign of Aries is deeply resonant with the planet Mars. Now, the planet Jupiter represents the cosmic intelligence of growth and expansion and knowing how to grow and expand in a sustainable way. For example, the way that a ram's horns will grow in a sequence that maintains a perfect balance on its head, even as they triple in size. That's part of Jupiter's intelligence, is that the golden mean of proportion, of how to grow. And so Jupiter's going to add this expansive oomph and wisdom to Mars from this position, and offers the possibility of a more constructive manifestation of Mars. Now, it's true Mars's action tends to separate and inflame, but it's also indispensable life energy. It is direction. It represents our mission in life. And Jupiter brings blessings and benefit to whatever it touches. And in Aries, it can symbolize rapid growth or growth spurts. So Jupiter's time in the sign of Aries will foreshadow or sort of presage for many of us an innovative leap that we'll definitively make when Jupiter comes close to Uranus in mid-July of this year. So Jupiter in Aries speaks of gathering the courage to grow, gathering oneself towards an expansion, a pretty big growth spurt and innovation in our life that Jupiter-Uranus will be starting to bring in the middle of this year. And perhaps it speaks to the willingness to take risks in service of expansion, reaching for distant horizons. Now, the other planet traditionally seen as a primarily beneficial influence, Venus, is also breaking new ground as she enters Aquarius on January 2nd, and she's going to be there until January 26th. She's just passed through the deep intensities of Pluto. That was an exact conjunction December 31st, New Year's Eve. And that connection could result in stirrings of the heart that may include obsessive thoughts, suspicion, fear of betrayal, or other feelings of vulnerability and exposure. It represents a very deep, deep burning desire. And while it may take time to sort through any interpersonal challenges that may have been signified or catalyzed by that connection, Venus in Aquarius can help cool things off a bit. Venus tends to stand back and observe what is happening before acting in Aquarius, and will have us actually considering our ethics and principles when it comes to finding concord on matters of love, money, pleasure. And she also emphasizes the friendship aspects of love and partnerships, and will have us more willing to experiment or try something new or unusual with our friends or lovers. So brokering new connections, new understandings. And Venus will make a supportive sextile to Jupiter exact on January 4th before going on to a harmonious trine to her dance partner of Mars on January 9th. And that suggests we're going to have ample opportunity to work out any kinks that may have shown up around New Year's Day. It can still be a little confusing, though, with mental Mercury making their final retrograde of 2022. We've moved into 2023 with Mercury in retrograde motion. So Mercury appeared to stand still in the sky on December 29th and will retrace their steps through the sign of Capricorn until January 18th. It's an unusually long time for Mercury to be in one sign. It's 2 months there. And Capricorn, being very earthy and strategic, as mentioned previously, bent towards achievement, this is a great time to review our commitments and obligations, our goals, and truly our limitations, because limits are a part of creativity as much as acting, but recognizing what will shape us and we shape it in turn in working out possibilities for ourselves. Where do we want to get ahead in the new year? This is a great question. If we spend any time with this question, many of us are going to realize the depth and the layers of truth in the proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Again, that's if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And for most of us, it's not a simple binary choice between going it alone or working with others. And it's really worthwhile to wrestle with any complexity and contradictions in our lives with respect to independence and interdependence. Now, thinking of Mercury retrograde, a lot of people speak pretty negatively about her, that there's something to be afraid of. Oh no, you might get something done like editing, proofreading, revising. Those are very favorable under Mercury, the influence of Mercury retrograde. And even, our new drafts of ideas may need to be tidied up once Mercury has returned to direct motion. So any fresh plans or strategies that we hatch out at this time, be a good idea to review later in January, and do another review and a reworking, and you probably will have more perspective, clarity, more information. And we should also take special care not to move too quickly to sign on to new agreements. Read the fine print and read between the lines as well. Always a good idea. When Mercury appears to be moving backwards in the sky with an extra trickster element to him. And surprising and maybe even painful discoveries or realizations could turn up under the influence of shocking Uranus. There is an exact trine on January 8th, and also an exact square to Chiron, who speaks to our vulnerabilities on January 9th. And really, those two aspects are pointing towards the fact that we can no longer ignore or deny the truth of what this Mercury retrograde is turning up for us. And I think also what Mars retrograde has brought forth. So that's it for this full moon report. Thank you for tuning in to the Archetypal News Network and listening. I hope you find this information useful. Again, my name is Erica Jones. I'm a counseling astrologer and a practitioner of the mystical arts and metaphysical healing. And you'll find my work at my website, realimaginal.com. I'm going to have several live presentations this year, including one on February 12th on Pluto's entry into Aquarius for the first time in 245 years. It's been a long time, Pluto. So you check out my website, please, at realimaginal.com for more information and registration to attend. Thank you, and with best wishes for your well-being in all the ways.